Hello, everyone. Welcome to News Now, the Belmont Journal's daily update on what's going on in the community of Belmont. I'm your host, Roger Colton. I have with me today Franklin Tucker, the editor and publisher of the Belmontonian, Belmont's online source for hyperlocal news. Franklin, there was a very emotional meeting at the Zoning Board of Appeals about the proposed 40B development. Can you tell us what happened?
Yes, it was a meeting of the zoning board of appeals that was specifically about whether the town should advance a defense against the 40B development by using a safe harbor. That's under the law. A town can use can say that something in their town shows that they're doing enough for affordable housing that the developer cannot use the 40B a law, which would give them a lot of the restrictions that the towns usually have in terms of zoning, would then be mitigated by this law and allow the developer to build. It's a law that's been around for 50 years or almost 60 years now, in which if somebody comes in and you have a development that has at least a certain percentage of affordable housing in it, you then can say we are our 40B development and then move forward without having to be restricted by a number of zoning laws in a town. So one of the most familiar, I should say, of the safe harbors is the 10% rule. If the town has 10% of its housing stock affordable, you then can say we have a safe harbor. Another one that is now becoming more popular among towns in a defense is whether 1.5% of your land use is for affordable housing, and that's what the meeting was about. And basically, in a nutshell, it was there was a number of abutters. They brought their attorney, and they said, you're just not interpreting the law correctly, because there are gray areas in the law. The state really didn't come and make a specific, how do you determine each and every parcel and things like that. And so what they were saying is that there's a lot more land in Belmont that they can use in terms of basically putting into the mix, and that would give the town 1.5%. Now it turned out that when the zoning board of appeals asked the town and whether that's possible, whether we've reached that, and the answer was no. It was both George Hall, who is a town council, and Glenn Clancy, who is the director of community development. Both said, it really we don't have that. We don't have that amount, and we're not even that close. We're basically, they said that we're at 1.1%. So you can see there's a gap there. But
So if the ZBA would have approved moving forward claiming the safe harbor, it would have been going against the advice of both the town council and the head of the community development.
That's right, and they both said the same thing. They said, "Look, you can't, and the George Hall, the town council, said, look, we'll do whatever you say, but it's against what I'm advising, because I know he himself is a person who in his regular job as an attorney is well versed in how the state would interpret that." And he said, look, every town that has ever done this has lost their appeal and now had to go through a judicial process. It takes a long time. It's very costly, so easily can get into six figures. You have to hire a number of attorneys plus consultants, and you don't know that you're going to actually win. That no one. There's other towns that have done this, like Stoneham, North Reading, and Weston. They haven't yet been adjudicated yet. So and then that's why one of the abutters attorney said, look, what do you have to lose? Just join the rest of the people, and we'll find it out. This will be a great test case. Now, I think there's a lot of people in Belmont who would say, let's not be a test case.
And did the ZBA make a decision?
Yeah, well, it didn't make an official decision. What it did is, there basically was a give and take. There was seemed like the board was going one way and another, and there were times when the board was saying, basically, should we hire our own consultant? Not listen to our community development director who's been here for more than 30 years. Somebody who knows this parcel of land better than anyone else. And they also said, maybe could you just look at it in a different way and maybe you can interpret it. And that's when Mr. Clancy basically said, no, I can't. It's against my professional. I would never hold that same professional belief again.
And
And
the
that's what,
town
and
would,
that's, and the three people who basically said that they would not vote for the safe harbor pointed to Glenn Clancy and said, yeah, if he says that we can't get to the number, how can we do it? How can we go against what he has to say? Because the town would have had to say, we're going to go to the state, we're going to write a letter going to the state saying that we're going to use our safe harbor. Unfortunately, our town council and our community development are against it. So it would have been it just would have been a very unusual and very a unique way of trying to defend the town. And it turned out where it was surprising there wasn't an official vote, but it turned out that it came down to a 3-2 preference, basically, not to use the safe harbor. It was quite unique. It was a quite unique debate, and seeing how personal reputation, Glenn Clancy's personal reputation, and how he's so good, really swaying the vote to not to use the safe harbor.
okay, let's close the door on this and talk about the override. There was a final decision on the override.
Yes, there was actually a vote on the override, unlike the zoning board of appeals. The select board voted to approve the recommendations from the financial task force, and a $6.4 million override will be before voters on April 6th at the town election. It basically came down to where they said there's no better way we can look at it. I mean, there were people who spoke up today, the public, who said that we have to delay it for a year. It's just $1 is too much. We would you would see businesses close and people having to leave town. But they said, look, if we delay it for 1 year, the next year, the next override is going to even be higher than the 6.4. Plus, we're going to have used all our free cash, which is our reserves, and that's going to affect our bond rating. So they said, look, we have to do it. You have to just bite the bullet and move forward on that. There was one glimpse of hope that was presented by Roy Epstein, the chair of the select board, who said that really there's two things that are really driving these costs really higher. One is pensions, and he said we have nothing we can do about pensions. We just have to pay it. But he said there is there is light in the tunnel in terms of enrollment, school enrollment. He said that over the last dozen years, Belmont has seen just an explosion in enrollment, and that's something that is just is just a huge cost driver for the schools. And so he said that by just looking at trends and statistics, we should see a topping of the enrollment about 2025. He said that the most immediate effect that will have is that the town will have more flexibility in terms of using funds, simply because we're not just adding a group of teachers every year, because we just have to handle this incredible explosion of enrollment. He said also we'll have a new school. We won't have that pressure where we have where we looking for space and things like that. He said it should get better by 2025. So that's when the next override basically is going to be asked for. So we might see a bit of not so much as we will probably have to ask for an override because we do have a structural deficit, but it'd probably be even lower than it is today.
And we will continue to bring you additional news on the override as it develops. Franklin, the select board also hired a new fire chief for Belmont.
they offered a contract rather than hiring. I'm always
Okay.
I'm always I'm always told that they say we haven't hired anybody. We're going through negotiations. And yes, his name is David DeStefano. He's from the North Providence Police Fire Department. He's been at that department for over 30 years. He is a battalion commander. He is his resume is very impressive. He's not only an instructor at the Fire Academy down in Rhode Island, he publishes lots of pieces and lots of articles and manuals on fire. So he's really one of those really he'd be one of the aging rock stars because he is somewhat older. He's been, like I said, for 30 years, but still he's young enough to want to become a chief, and that was his goal. So we'll see what happens during the contractual agreements.
Speaking of rock stars, the Belmont High girls hockey team lost one of its rock stars to injury. Can you tell us?
Yes, her name is Emma O'Donovan. She's a two-sport star in field hockey and hockey. She is just a wonderful example of a great student and a great athlete we have in Belmont. She's also somebody who's suffered with injury since her sophomore year. She lost her sophomore year because of a leg anomaly. Her ankle basically has was injured at one time, and it's blood circulation issues in there. So there's a great article in Boston Globe about her that describes what this entire process was like that she has gone through. And it's amazing. Every 6 months she would have to get an MRI. She had screws in her ankle that had to be twisted every certain number of days, and she got out there and played her hardest. Unfortunately, she was injured in a game against Winchester at Woburn, and she reportedly has a double compound fracture on her leg, which is but not her. You'd think her ankle would be it, but this is her leg. So a senior that had great promise, who was looking to score 100 points, and she was like 20 points away, but she was scoring 3 or 4 points a game, so it was going to get close, but it looked like she was going to get that 100-point status. So unfortunately, it's an unfortunate way of what happens.
Ending our career.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for bringing us up to date. Our hearts go out to her and to her family. We've been speaking with Franklin Tucker, the editor and publisher of the Belmontonian. The Belmont High School winter sports seasons are now indeed in process. Belmont Media Center volunteer, Belmont Journal volunteer, Chet Messer brings us up to date.
This is Chet Messer reporting on Belmont Marauder Sports. Starting with hockey, both the girls and boys teams are undefeated, but each has been tied once. The girls' most recent win came this past Wednesday when they defeated Winchester 3-2. Their offense has been led by Emma O'Donovan, who has 8 goals in 4 games. This video is a slow-motion replay of one of her 8 goals. Her skating ability and her skills as a hockey player are evident. They have also been getting excellent goaltending from Bridget Gray, who has stopped 91 shots over the 4 games while only giving up 8 goals. Turning now to boys hockey. The boys won their first 3 games in a row, but then were tied by Winchester at 2-2. In their most recent game this past Wednesday, they defeated Reading 2-1. The first goal was scored by Peter Grace from just inside the blue line at center ice. Ben Fici scored the second and winning goal just in front of the net. His brother Cam Fici is leading the team with 4 goals over the first 5 games. Now to basketball. The girls' team is 3 wins and 1 loss so far this season, and the boys are 2-2. The girls defeated Winchester this past Monday, 42-34. Nina Menakazi is the leading scorer for the Belmont girls with 50 points so far this season. Nina is a junior who will not graduate until 2022. She is a smart and skilled player who has this season and next season to continue to mature before she heads off to college.
I'm hoping to continue my basketball career after high school at a high academic school. My dream would be to play Division I at an Ivy League or something like that.
The second leading scorer on the girls' team is Emma McDevitt, a senior. In a preseason interview, she expressed her thankfulness to being able to play and her gratitude to those who make it possible.
I am grateful to have the opportunity to have a senior season, finishing off the last 9 years I've spent on the court. I'm very grateful to the coaches, players, parents, school admin, custodians, and members of the Belmont community who have worked so hard over the last couple months to create and allow a safe way to participate in sports this year.
The Belmont boys had a terrific win as they came from behind to defeat Winchester this past Monday. Here is how it happened. With 4 minutes and 45 seconds to go, Belmont trailed by 9, but they had the ball out of bounds. Kevin Logan banked in a two-pointer to bring Belmont within 7. Then he hit a 2-point jump shot from the left side. A jump pass to Caleb Christensen netted Belmont 2 more points. Winchester scored next to go up by 4. This was followed by a nice drive to the hoop by Ali Narosi, bringing Belmont within 2. Kevin Logan then found Joe McHugh cutting for the basket, and Joe netted 2 more points and was fouled in the process. McHugh canned his foul shots for a 3-point play. This put Belmont up by 1. Winchester scored next and now led 61-60. A drive to the hoop by Preston Jackson Stevens resulted in a loose ball, but Caleb Christensen corralled it and dropped it in the bucket for Belmont's winning score. In an all heart and hustle ending, Belmont outscored Winchester 13-4 over the last 4 minutes and 35 seconds for their win. Preston Jackson Stevens is a senior this year, was a first-team all-conference player last year, and is leading the team in scoring this year. During a preseason interview, Preston talked about the coming season and his plans for college.
I am looking forward to this basketball season because it is my last year, because I'm a senior. It will be the last time that I get to step on the court with all of my teammates and my fellow seniors. And it's the last time I will be coached by Adam Pritchard. He has taught me a lot about the game of basketball, making smart plays, doing the little things. And it's just a very exciting moment for not only myself, but the rest of the team to be able to participate in the most craziest year of basketball there probably will be for a long time. Hoping to continue my basketball career at UMass Amherst.
In future editions of Belmont Marauder Sports, you can expect to hear more from the athletes.